Welcome to the Orlando Lions Den Podcast, your number one Orlando City podcast. For the fans, by the fans. For the fans, by the fans. Keeping you in the know on all things Orlando City since 2018.
Hello, everybody. How you doing on a Friday night? A little rare for us to be out on a Friday, but hey, life happens, work happens, and we're all here. So if you guys are watching along, whether it be on YouTube, Twitter, or whatever, we appreciate the crap out of you. Alex, I think you're all over the world. Let's say we're playing Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, and it turns out you're in Omaha, Nebraska, home of Duncan McGuire. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, man, had to honor Duncan. Went and checked out a Creighton baseball game tonight. So right across the street, got to be in the stadium where they hold the College World Series, and we had a good time. It was me and another guy got to drop him off in the morning at the airport and go back up to northwestern Iowa, and then likely fly to just outside Cincinnati tomorrow on my own. So it'll be a good time.
Man, our pilot, we love this. This is so awesome, seeing everything that you're doing, and obviously getting to travel all across areas that most people don't want to go to.
Yeah, right now it's like that in the summertime, and then I think in the wintertime it gets more so. Like I was talking to some guys, and they fly all around the country in the wintertime in the multi-engine. So that should be me in a few months, hopefully.
I love to see it. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and give a quick Daniel in the chat already. We are going to get there, I promise. So stick around. We have a lot of thoughts on that new contract for Ricardo Moreira, on Oscar Pareja and Luis Muzi as well. So we will be talking about that. But before we talk all the new contracts and all the fun stuff that's going on, thank our sponsors real quick. First, shout out to Chad McGibbon. If you're looking to buy a house currently, go ahead and reach out to Chad McGibbon at Chad McGibbon on Twitter, or if you are watching along, QR code is on the screen. Feel free to go ahead and give that a scan and reach out to him for your home buying needs in the Central Florida area. Then, going to go ahead and shout out Hourglass Brewing, our friends. I don't know if any No Mango, No Parties left, but I'll reach out to my friend Juan and find out, and make sure to let all of y'all know if there is any left, because you got to go get it. It is delicious. And then probably should have followed this after Chad because it is related. But if you're interested in buying a house, you also got to make sure that you can finance it. So reach out to our friend Leo Gonzalez at the Epic Mortgage Team, powered by U Mortgage. Interest rates are in an interesting place right now, but he's got all the knowledge and assistance that you will need. So make sure you can reach out to him at Loans by Leo or at applywithleo.com. All that information, and of course the QR code is on the screen. And I'm doing this really fast and running out of breath, but last but not least, our friend Eddie has been burning the midnight oil over at Comparion Insurance, making sure that all your insurance needs are taken care of. So if you have any insurance questions, whether it be home insurance, boat insurance, car insurance, pet insurance, Eddie has got you covered. Even I think he does iPhone insurance or something. Doesn't Ryder have something like that? I feel like he does. He loves everything Apple. So
yeah, for sure.
No shade, Ryder. We love you. But yeah, Eddie's got you covered. QR code is on the screen, or if you have any questions, we can get you directed to him. Feel free to just DM the pod. We can get you connected, get you taken care of. Oh, I did that in like record time. I'm proud of myself. All right. Well, easy thing to talk about to start. We got a 0-0 draw against Montreal this week. Not really much to touch on or talk about because not a lot happened in this game. It was kind of a little bit of a bummer, if we're honest. Not a lot happening, and it culminated in an early yellow. Well, realistically, it started with an early yellow card to Kyle Smith, so he got subbed out for Rafael Santos, who then got two pretty quick yellow cards in the second half and sent off. So we went without Rodrigo Schlegel last week. Now we're going to be without Rafael Santos this week. Honestly, I don't know about you, Alex, but this time around, this just didn't look like the team that we've been seeing this season. Like, it was kind of a lackluster performance. Had a couple of moments in attack. Nothing like crazy that we conceded defensively or anything like that, but just kind of an overall meh performance. Not really a lot to say about it. I don't know if you have any opinions outside of the fact that meh.
I'm gonna be honest, man. Yeah, I agree with you, but you don't get a new contract overnight, right? So
yeah,
I'd say probably about 3.5 weeks ago now, Oscar agent hit him up and said, "Hey, we got a new contract offer on the table. We've got to just work out the kinks." And he said, "All right, they're going to keep me. So let's get back to the poppy ball." 270 minutes of no goals, and we've kind of been forced into a tough spot without our two starting midfielders. We talked about it a lot early on in the season, and in the preseason, the midfield was a huge issue for us. And if you would have told me at the beginning of the season we'd lose our main two guys and we'd get three straight scoreless or three straight shutouts, I'd say, well, hell yeah, that's all we can ask for with these two guys in the midfield. But man, it's just not there. It's just not there without those guys. And I feel like we should have had at least a 1 or 2 wins in the last 3, and it just hasn't been there. So I don't know if that's Poppy going to Poppy ball or just doing with what he's got to deal, working with the tools that he's got. And it's it works. We've always been tough to beat, and we're still tough to beat, and that's a good thing. But man, it's hard to see us go from the hottest team scoring in the first 5 matches or so, 15 goals, I think, and then have nothing in the last 3. So something's got to change.
Yeah, and I think it's for realistically just to be Daniel in the chat here, missing out to Westa and the ref sucked. I will say, yeah, there was a couple questionable calls here and there. The ref definitely wanted to take control, but I don't care about the ref. If you don't look like you're playing to win a game, or you don't look like you deserve to win a game, you shouldn't win a game. So I'm not going to go ahead and put too much on the officiating on this, because we just didn't look like a team that was there to get 3 points. And with that being said, Atuesta is, I think, the key that makes this attack work, because I sent the stat that I ran earlier to Alex right before we started recording. In the 6 games that Atuesta started the season, the midfield pair has created 21 chances. In the 3 games since, when it's DDT and Gerbet starting, they have created 1 combined. So granted, obviously, we want to see attack being generated from, the front line, the 3 DPs, Ojeda, all of that. But when you can clearly see that just the drop off of what the midfield is able to contribute in the attack between that, dude, it's night and day. Atuesta is really what kind of keeps this attack going. He's almost going to be my stock up this week, just because the fact that it shows how much we need him when he's not playing.
Yeah. That's how Cleon was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's just been tough to watch, and it's good soccer for a tournament style, and it's good. It's good to know that we can revert back to this. But when it's a regular season, we got to get points in the East is pretty daunting. You can't really afford to have a game like Montreal, who's got, I think, 4 goals all season or something like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They have 2 points on the season. They're the worst team in the East. I know away games are tough, especially in MLS, but man.
Yeah, but we're good on the road.
Exactly.
It wasn't the performance we needed. That's for sure. It should have been better. But 3 straight shutouts. It's good to show that we could still do it. And I hope that when we do get the boys back in the midfield, it doesn't turn back into more of this, because that's when we'll really see the stunting of the growth that I think we saw in the first 6.
Yeah, I think so. Unfortunate truth there, realistically, But like I said, I feel like it's just everything is going to really run through Atuesta for us to not play, as Juan Chope said in here. New contract immediately returned to. I'm assuming that's the hope and pray system. So yeah, we're I think if we get Atuesta back, we're going to be hopefully out of that kind of situation. But at the same time, him, Araujo, and Gerbet are all listed as questionable this weekend. So, at this point, if Gerbet's out, what does our midfield even look like if those other 2 are also not good to go? Are we going to be running out a midfield of Kyle Smith and DDT, or are we going to give Colin Gusky a start fresh off of his win at the GA Cup? Not something that I really want to be thinking about going into a rivalry game against Atlanta,
Short-handed Atlanta.
A short-handed Atlanta, yeah, that's the thing that I was going to get to later. But Stian Gregerson and Derek Williams, their starting center backs, both of their starting center backs are out, and their league record signing Emmanuel Latte Loth is suspended this week. Like, we can't hope for a better situation of Atlanta coming to our stadium for a game for them to be as shorthanded as they are, you know?
Yeah,
also,
I think, to answer your question, yes, Atuesta is obviously the key in the attack. I think, Cesar is Cesar, and he's going to give us a lot what we've already seen. But man, we got to have something up the middle, and especially with the way our fullbacks have played, not tremendously, and then you think about even further on the wings, Angulo has been, quite frankly, miserable. So it's, playing up the wings isn't really in our wheelhouse right now, and we got to do something to split the middle. And I'm hoping Dagger gets a little bit more situated in there and can start generating some chances. Don't expect much from Gervais, but I don't know if we want to roll out a Dagger, and I mean, we may not have a chance, but our choice. But Atuesta and DDT that's a dangerous midfield to be playing with.
It definitely is, because you could definitely tell that when we're playing Gervais and DDT is playing the Atuesta role and Gervais is playing the Cesar role. If we have Atuesta and DDT there, that is got defensive liability written all over it. Could be fun in the attack, but if we're expecting to try and have a 4-3 game or something like that, which is not something that we're terribly known for.
No.
But yeah,
especially against Atlanta.
Yeah, no counters, no urgency to score. Wake up, please. No defending. All players on offense. I mean, I'd like to. It's just depressing to see us not really. Just again, like you said, the first 6 games we were the top scoring team in the league, averaging over 2 goals per game, and then 3 games in a row, nothing.
We've had chances too. Let's not get it twisted. We've had chances. It's just
true.
When you only get 2 or 3 a match, you got to count on those. It's not. That's how the poppy ball has always been, and it's not.
And I will
in any way.
I will at least retcon back that at the end or at the beginning of the game against the Red Bulls, we were generating and creating some pretty good chances. The red card in that game definitely turned things around, and Carlos Coronel was also, having his best game of the season against us. Like, you would expect that he would, because why wouldn't he? But definitely one of those situations where realistically, we needed better, expected better. It's disappointing to say the least. But now we got to start. We need points, simple as that. It's a tough division, tough league. You got to win games, especially against bad teams.
Yeah, especially against bad teams, for sure.
All right, man. This is it's a Friday. We're not going to keep you guys too long. We're going to keep it kind of short and sweet today, since it's also just the 2 of us. So stock up, stock down. Feel free, if you're watching along, comment along with your stock up, stock down coming off this game against Montreal, going into this game against Atlanta. Alex, who you got, man? And anyone that's impressing you? And are you putting your stock down on Ivan Angulo again?
Of course. He's been hard to watch, man. It's not. There is zero excitement coming from that side of the ball.
Like, what does Enrique have to do to get into the game and start in that position?
I can't. I don't get it. It's hard to. It's the definition of hard to watch. So, not a big fan of that. I guess my stock up's got to go to Pedro, to be honest. 3 straight clean sheets, and he actually had, some really, really big saves in this one. So I'll give it to Pedro. I'm glad he went on international duty and came back like he always does, and hopefully we continue to get that. But yeah, man. I mean, Pasalic could be a stock down. I mean, he's gotten some chances and hasn't been able to finish. That's been kind of disappointing, especially with the way he started the season. I don't know if the travel's starting to get to him, or whatever it may be, but yeah, that was kind of disappointing to see. But Angulo is just, especially when you're getting red cards, and you got him on the pitch, and he's not the red card. It's, you're already pretty much playing a man down, in my opinion.
Yeah, realistically, you're not wrong with that. Just Daniel agreeing with you for Pedro, a couple of good saves, coming back from a rough start to the season, definitely. And I'll also put up one up here, stack up to the Youth Academy for their performances at the GA Cup. The U16s went into the relegation bracket basically, and finished second in there, made it all the way to the final. And the U18s won the whole damn thing. Beat Inter Milan, beat Santos Laguna, like playing international teams. I mean, the U16s beat Bayern Munich, I think, like their academy. So clearly, our guys are we should be impressed with what's happening with the academy right now, because frankly, this is not something that we've ever had. Like our best academy was when we were stealing Montverde players. Like, so like it's nice to see that we have an academy again, or have an academy for the first time realistically that's actually doing well. So excited about that. But my stock up, I'm gonna keep it with Bracalo this week. I gave it to him last week. It's 2 weeks in a row where he's really kind of put in a man of the match performance. Keep starting him. Like Rodrigo Schlegel's supposed to be back this week. I'd like to see Rodrigo Schlegel stay on the bench. I think that Bracalo is a better center back. We could go ahead and start Kyle Smith at left back. I'm fine with that. I know that most likely what's going to happen is we're probably going to see Rodrigo at center back and Bracalo at left back. And that annoys me a little bit. But it is what it is. That's just my expectation. So and my stock down. I mean, I hate to pile on Angulo, but like, dude's been cheeks to start the year, man. Like,
he's played better for the other team.
Exactly. He's got one MLS assist realistically on the season, maybe two if you count the fake assists. Like, no goals, no, like, not really a threat to shoot. Like, if you take a look at his percentiles over the last year, he's not been great, guys. Like, I don't have any other way to say it. He's just been relatively not good. And it's disappointing because obviously I know he's like beloved by many. We like his hustle, we like his heart, we like his speed. But speed without substance is unfortunately nothing short of disappointing. So, and that's the thing. Like, you brought up a good point. Muriel's kind of slowed down. Pasalic has slowed down, but like Angulo still hasn't gotten off of the blocks. Like,
yeah,
it's just been.
It's a guy that we need to count on. We have been able to count on to give us, like you were saying in the preseason, 6 to 8 goals and 6-8 assists, and he's nowhere near that production potential this year. And those are big goals and assists that usually come in a timely fashion, and he just hasn't been able to put anything together that changes a game. And with the speed thing, that's, people love it because it is a game changer usually, right? And I mean, and it does come at you quick, and it can flip a game on its head, especially on a counterattack. But I mean, he had a great chance to square Duncan and this past match, and it was it was a rudimentary ball, something that anybody, the wingers on the U16, this is something that you got to be able to do at a young age, is to make that ball in. And he couldn't even get that done. And it's on his left foot, and but it's just it's got to happen. That ball into dunk is the thing that highlighted Angulo's season so far. That's got to be a goal, at least a chance at goal, and it didn't even get close. Duncan will bury that 7, 8 out of 10 times, and he didn't even get a chance. And it's not the thing you can do in this league. It's not the thing you can do on the road when you got a chance to get 3 points against the worst team in the conference. It's just not great. Not a great performance. Not great production, and it's been that way all year.
And it's also frustrating just for a guy like Duncan in general, like, coming back from injury, lost his starting spot because Muriel's been good. Dude wants to score goals, and if you give him the opportunity, he can score goals. But like, when he gets missed in a situation like that, you can't help but feel frustrated for him, because you could also see his frustration on the field, because that a player of professional caliber should be able to handle that,
Yep.
So, and it's one of those things, like, Obviously, I don't want to see him gone, but we know that we got calls for Duncan McGuire within the league since they put this new cash transfer system in place, whatever they want to call it. They just made us kind of catch up with the rest of the world rather than trading GAM and shit like that, stuff like that. Sorry. My bad. But they put this in place. Like, people were calling. Real Salt Lake wanted him, and we hung up the phone on them, you know? Like, we got that confirmed from Tom Bogert. He said RSL had called a couple times to inquire about Duncan McGuire, and we said not for sale every step of the way. Good. You know, so this guy wants to be here. We want to keep him here, and we can't get him the ball when he's on the field. The only thing that's a potential positive is man who we thought went completely missing in action, Nicholas Rodriguez, looks like he is off the injury report this week. So maybe we finally get to see some action from him since we haven't seen him since week 1. So got to see what happens there. Wanchup saying he thinks Duncan and or Enrique will go in the summer. Honestly, it's kind of funny just that you mentioned that because I saw some people on some of the posts about like the youth team and whatnot saying that, you know, Justin Ellis is a guy that should be getting a homegrown contract soon, but maybe he won't because of the fact that there's a log jam at center forward right now and he won't get into the team regardless. And I was like, well, if somebody leaves, I think there's a likelihood that maybe he can get involved. I still think he's going to get a homegrown contract regardless. He picked up a golden boot in the GA Cup and Caraballo picked up MVP. So that's how good those guys were for the U18s. So good stuff there. So I guess we could talk fun stuff a little bit, depending on how you look at it. Everybody got new contracts.
The Browns just passed on Shedeur again.
Again?
Yeah.
We're sorry, guys. We're also paying attention to the NFL draft. My Giants did something that I wanted. And,
talk about a stock down.
Stock down for Shedeur Sanders, man. Sorry. As soon as I saw him set up that his whole house for his draft party, and then he was there's a video going around of him performing for his friends and family. I'm like, dude, you're highlighting why no one picked you, man. Like, like you don't care about football that much. You're here rapping. Like, oh man,
tough.
Anywho, so they passed on him again. That's kind of funny for me. But let's talk. Oh wait, there's a comment. Did someone say something about him? No, it's something different. Okay. Daniel asked if can Nico play left wing. Well, I think we should try and find out, honestly. Like, can Angulo? Oh man, I'm trying not to be a dick, but it's a little late for that.
We should try and find out.
Yeah, we should definitely try and find out. So new contracts everywhere is the easy way to go into this. Oscar Pareja got a new 3-year deal. I've remained Switzerland on the subject, so I've never had opinions on the Poppy in, Poppy out side of things. Then Louis Muzi, you either. You definitely didn't start this season saying Poppy out the entire time, hoping to reverse psychology it into us starting a season strong for the first time in the last 3 years. But anywho, Oscar Pareja, new 3-year extension. Luis Muzi got a promotion, and it sounds like he's basically new, basically directly underneath ownership at this point. And I don't know exactly what his title means he's going to be doing, but he's still within the club. But the news for me of what's coolest here is Ricardo Moreira moves up to general manager and sporting director. So I believe he is now the one. I feel like a lot of us kind of thought he was the one in charge of just about everything as it is. But he is definitely now the man in charge of signings, acquisitions, academy, all of that stuff. So shout out to Ricardo. We all love and appreciate the work that he's done for this club, just like we have for Muzi and realistically Pareja too, whether you have a polarizing opinion of him or not. He has done a lot to change the culture of the club for sure. So everyone getting new contracts, honestly, for me, it's cool. I have no issues with it. I'm most excited about Ricardo getting the promotion that realistically, I know universally us as a podcast, we all wanted him to get. Oscar's a little bit more polarizing, but he's gotten us to the playoffs multiple years in a row. That's enough for some people in the league to give him a promotion or give him a new contract. So it's not quite Sporting Kansas City situation, like where Peter Vermees had a death grip on the club for God knows how long. But yeah, Alex, what are your thoughts on all the new contracts going around?
I 100% agree. I mean, the Ricardo one makes me the most excited. It's something that we've been calling on for a while for him to get promoted, and not only because he deserves it, but because we don't want to lose him to any other clubs or leagues.
And we almost did multiple times.
Yeah.
I think
And
last year in particular, going into this season, he had interviews for DC United and Sporting Kansas City to become their sporting directors. And Sporting Kansas City decided to go ahead and hire one of the most controversial people possible, and completely ruined things with their fan base. And then Ricardo probably never picked up the phone again from them. But he wanted to stay here, is what it comes down to. It feels like so.
Yeah. I'm pumped about that. I'm glad he's staying. Obviously, he's a great talent evaluator. He's done really well. With everything and making sure that we can build the program up. Oscar, it's on paper, he obviously deserves it, right? So he took us to a MLS Eastern Conference final last year, was underwhelming in it, but he deserves the extension, especially with the way that we've started out this year. We've only lost 2 matches through 9 games, so definitely a better start than typical. And if they can invest, if the Wilfs want to invest and give him a budget, I'd like to see what he can do with that. So it's nice to see that change a little bit and us starting to spend some money. But we've yet to be able to hit on all 3 DPs. This is the closest we've ever been, and the verdict's still out.
It was great for 6 weeks.
Yeah, in general, I think whatever I think about Oscar, it doesn't matter. Whatever a lot of people think about Oscar doesn't matter. It's a fun conversation to have, in or out, blah blah blah. But the fact of the matter is for our budget and our apparent budget, and for our history, we've overperformed with Oscar in. So when we've gotten better every year, we've gone farther every year. So it's hard not to say that he doesn't deserve this promotion. Now, we get to the playoffs and we lose without scoring a goal again. Things may change, but the reality of Orlando sports, and Eddie will like this one, but that's the reality of Orlando sports. It's always been a town where getting into the playoffs is satisfactory. Getting into the playoffs is the
Job well done.
the baseline to success or not in this town. So last year was everything lined up, and we still couldn't get it done. But I'll say it again. It's hard to argue against him deserving the contract extension.
Yeah, like there's definitely people that'll make the argument, but when you get as close as you do to a title, kind of can't really pull the rug out from under him. It does make sense to do that. Disappointing as it is for us, or depending on how you feel about the situation.
Now, when Chope Goder said, you can highlight that one. I think you already did. The timing of the new deal was terrible. Should have waited and see if we can navigate this 9-match stretch. I agree, but the fact of the matter is his contract ends at the end of this year, and you don't want to really give him the option to talk to other people, especially with the way that we've started. And if we don't lose that to us, then say sorry. We might be pretty much at the top of the standings right now. So it's never a good time to extend a coach in the middle of the season, because if you do it because you're on a hot streak, then it's like you're buying high. And if you do it in our situation before a long stretch of really tough games, it's you may be showing your cards too early. So there's never a good time to do it. The best time to do it probably would have been after making the Eastern Conference final last year. But whatever they got going on, I think there was a lot of stuff in the off season where even Moose and Ricardo didn't know where they were going to go. So now that they got that hashed out and figured out, then they get Poppy on the same deal. I'm guessing it's the same deal. I'm guessing it's 3 years for everybody.
Yeah, we will say, as of right now, we know that Oscar's deal is for 3 years. We have not heard the length of the deal for Muzi or Ricardo. I know Mike Ramajo had posted something about the fact that he'd reached out to the club for comment, but hasn't heard yet. So hopefully we find out the length of their deals. kind of like Alex, I would assume 3-year deals as well. But did want to at least kind of highlight Daniel's comments here. Muzi also helps with other things such as academy, overall structure, relationships, internationally, overall vision, and also his help with the academy 100%. I do think that is important. Not trying to discount anything that Muzi did, but I think a lot of us kind of felt that the creative mind behind the players that we were bringing in, a lot of that did come down to Ricardo, and that's why we're most excited to see him move up into this role. But I'm very curious to see, like, it seems like they're kind of talking like Muzi's going to be doing a lot of international partnerships, working with other clubs. Maybe he's going to help the Muzis buy something in Europe or South America. Who knows? But it seems like he's going to be moving into a bigger picture role is the way that I'm kind of looking at it. So we'll see what that means or what that entails. But regardless, I think it kind of makes sense for everyone to get new contracts, and this is where we're at. So,
and if you're the Wilfs, I mean, it's gotten better every year since they bought the club, and you got guys in position right now that pretty much allow you to own the club hands free, and not have to worry about anything or actually make changes. So, I could see where everything comes from, but running a business hands free and just being happy with the growth. Sometimes you could get stuck in this lull where there's more potential growth, but you're just happy with what's going on right now, and you kind of just get complacent with it, I guess is a good way to say it. So, I mean, all the guys obviously just with the performances they've deserved a new contract, but in reality, I'd like to see a bigger budget. I'd like to see these big splash signings. Getting Atuesta free was a crazy good deal, but we have to use our resources. And Muzi, the one thing that he's always really good at is this cap space management. Ricardo's really good at scouting. I'd like to see the scouting go more in depth, maybe even less in depth. Honestly, I'd like to, I'm not having to turn over stones in the middle of the jungle to find good players. I'd like to, get good guys and know what they are before they come here. I think is the best way to put it. So, and all that comes down to budget and what the Wolves are willing to spend. So maybe now that there is this steadiness in the front office for the next 3 or 4 years, and with coach, maybe now we can actually say, all right, we'll invest in the team. Because we were one step away last year. Really, that's it. One step away. You never know what happens in LA. I mean, the Red Bull played them close, and we're better on the road, and I think we matched up better against them. And you never know what would have happened. And it's just now it's about taking that final step, really.
Yeah. And I will just say, Daniel mentioned that, primary transfer window closed without a signing. That's not entirely true. Obviously, we didn't do anything up until the deadline, but bringing in, obviously, Pasalic was in the primary transfer window. Atuesta was the primary transfer window. It's just we didn't do anything towards the end. And they also left that U22 slot open. So I feel like we have to kind of expect that U22 spot will probably be filled at some point. But good question from Daniel here. So we'll go ahead and do this before we move on to game predictions. Jesus, Quinn Ewers, how many animals do you have on your wall?
That's a Texas boy right there.
Dude, are you doing this inside of a Cabela's? Like, what's going on?
I forgot he was even. What a horrible decision for him to come out.
I mean, Arch Manning was pushing him out one way or the other. So
somebody would have paid him though.
Yeah, I think he did have money on the table that he said no to. So, anyways, sorry, this isn't about talking football. It's about talking football. So, what are your thoughts on the biggest needs and how we approach that? Realistically, for me, center back help, like defense help, maybe a left back, maybe a left winger. Those are the 3 areas, but we don't have a whole lot of roster spots. So I don't know who or what we can actually realistically do. I know we can afford to use that U22 spot, and we can maybe afford another cheap senior player, but that's about it. Like, there's not much else that we can do. A U22 center back, I think, would be awesome to try and bring in. I think we might try and pull in Alex Freeman with Tahir Reed Brown next year at left back. see if he could take the jump like Freeman did. And maybe a left back wouldn't be a necessary purchase, but I don't know. I'd like to see more production out of left wing, and I think more center back depth would be helpful. I don't know, Alex, do you think anything that you could think of that would help the squad more?
I'm going to hold off on the left wing until we see if Nico can do anything with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's a U22 guy, and I don't think we need two of those.
True.
So yeah, I think center back is probably the obvious choice. Midfield depth might not be a bad idea, especially a chance creator in the midfield. I mean that's what looks solid as that Cesar backup. So somebody that's not such a far fall off. No offense to DDT, but unless he can get it in the swing of things and get back, I know it's his first couple matches back, even playing this position. But and to be fair, he didn't start out great at playing the fullback role, and then he really worked his way into that position. So we might get something out of him, but like you said, one chance created compared to 21 it's a huge difference.
Yeah, the drop off is unfortunately astronomical. And I do like him as a player, and I think honestly his role as being realistically being like kind of a Swiss Army knife when he comes in, or I guess an Icelandic Army knife when he comes in off the bench is honestly awesome. I love that role for him. I think that's honestly like been one of the cooler revelations this season with Freeman taking the starting role, is that we can kind of throw Dagger wherever we need him because he's just a good player. And not the way that like we kind of do with Kyle Smith. Like Kyle Smith gets thrown everywhere, but to me, Kyle Smith is an okay player. I feel like DDT can actually contribute if he's thrown in other places. But I think he's just not a great chance creator in that like 8 role in the midfield. So I think that if we could get a better chance creator in the midfield as an alternate would be awesome. Or a young center back, I think is really the two areas that we would benefit from the most.
Yeah, I mean, these matches before the summer transfer window are going to be huge. If we fall off and we're not looking good, I mean, I think we got a strong set of guys that we could be seeing to leave. So, Duncan and Enrique, you got to think is going to want to play somewhere, and he's worth the value to given what he did last year. Alex Freeman, even. I mean, he
might be gone. He might be a one and done man.
Played unbelievably, and if we don't give the front office, if Oscar doesn't give the front office a reason that we need to keep him through the end of the season, and we're not looking like a MLS championship contender, and we get a good offer coming in, he might be gone. Duncan, obviously, too, is one of those guys that's making a ton of money. And honestly, it was always great on Duncan to get his contract, but it's really put us in a crappy situation with Muriel starting to play better. It's really put us in a really, really tough situation. And the Angulo contract, we all were excited when he got it, and now it's looking like arguably probably as a TAM guy, the worst contract we have on the roster.
Yeah, it is.
Even worse than Pedro, to be honest.
Yeah. And Pedro is one of my least favorite contracts of all time. So that tells you how that means something to me, So,
yep.
All right. Well, enough about that. Window's closed. Nothing's happening, at least until realistically July or August, if I recall correctly. So we got time. We're playing those butt heads up north in Atlanta. I just did a little spot with Scarves and Spikes yesterday. I don't know if they've released that yet or not, but be on the lookout for that. Talked with them. They're very unhappy with how their team is doing at the moment. So they have not been good. Yeah. They also haven't scored in a couple of games, just like us. So
they spent $50 million to have -5 goal differential through 9 matches.
And that's not good. And like I said, no Stian Gregerson, no Derek Williams, and no league record signing Emmanuel Latte Loth this week. I'm sorry, when you're missing that many key players, this is especially at home. This is a must-win game. It's not that it's a rival. It's early in the season. I don't care. They're missing way too many pieces, and they're so unsure defensively. And they still got that bald-headed son SOB in net, Brad Guzan. Like, you got to win this game. Like, you have to.
Yeah. There's no choice. You got to go. You got to go after it. You can't settle for this 0-0 nonsense. You know, you got to at least go down and swing it if you're going to go down. I think we could go all the way and still end up with a draw. Honestly, at worst, it's the worst result I think we can possibly get from this match. So yeah, I'm a must win guy on this too, especially against a rival. We got to get 3 points. 3 points is huge in the standings right now. I mean, the East is so competitive. We got 13-9 matches, and we're hanging on here by a thread. So we gotta jump up and get 3 points here for sure against a team that we should. Yeah, I agree. No, this is
That's why I put it up, because I started laughing when I saw that.
Yeah,
redeeming their Lion Nation points to get on the field.
We got to win this one. You know, I think Nico should come in, should be the starter. Honestly, I think it'd be good for Anguilla to come off the bench. You know, I'd like to see him come in and play with Ojeda, Muriel, and Pasalic. And if we get Atuesta back, not a doubt in my mind. Not a doubt in my mind. We win.
Yeah,
probably easily.
Yeah. When I was talking with them, I said that I think this is a 2-1 win, and I said Pasalic gets right, and Duncan gets a goal off the bench. That's what I'm hoping for.
I don't think we can show. Oh, you're going to put it on there.
What?
Okay, I'm not reading that one though.
Oh God. Oh Lord, Daniel.
NSFW. It's good to read though.
Oh yeah, we didn't say it out loud. You can read it if you watched along.
But
maybe that'll drive traffic to the YouTube streams. You never know. So
I agree, man. I hate Atlanta. I can't stand it. You know, it's just to me the biggest rival we have. It's not even close. They try and manufacture this rival with those fellas in Pompano Beach, but I just can't stand Atlanta.
They just lost to Vancouver last night as well.
Yeah, that was fun.
Although Vancouver has had a sneaky good season.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna say 2-0.
2-0. Who's got your goals?
I'm gonna stick on the Duncan McGuire train for the second goal, and then Ojeda for the first one.
So we got Pasalic and Duncan for me in a 2-1 victory. You got Ojeda and Duncan in a 2-0 victory. I think realistically it comes down to if Atuesta is on the field. So if Atuesta is on the field, like Alex said, not a doubt in my mind that this is a W. And Daniel, you don't have to apologize. It is perfectly okay, man. It made us laugh. We just didn't want to read it out loud. That's the fun part of doing it live, is we get to go ahead and see that stuff and have those kind of funny moments. Honestly, doing this live has been more fun this year for me. I feel like it's been a pain in the butt for us to figure out schedules a little bit, but I don't care. It's been fun. I don't care if I do it by myself sometimes. As long as I get to hang out with the boys and talk Orlando City, I'm having a good time. So
yeah, I mean, it's always kind of been that way with us, and you know, we got a lot of I guess you could say, I mean, I don't know how to say this, but you know, we got a lot of people that do stuff with their lives, to be honest. You know, going in 8 years, you know, we aren't young, and you know, half of us are dads, and you know, you got a crazy good job, and you're out in Colorado, so the time difference doesn't help. And
honestly, no, the time difference has kind of made it a little bit easier for me, honestly.
Yeah, I know, that's what I feel too. I'm now an hour behind, so I was like all
dude,
right,
I'm not gonna lie, like the whole I get to finish up an episode and now my day's not done is kind of awesome, because that's the way it was in Florida. It's like we finish up an episode, it'd be like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, all right, now I gotta go to bed. Like, whereas like finish up an episode here, it's like, oh, it's 9. Like
yeah, Cleon's contract doesn't run on Friday, Saturday, Sundays, so
he was
gonna get him on tonight. But yeah, you know, it's just doing a live is a lot more fun. I think I've enjoyed the live and being able to interact with the listeners and be on, and it makes it easier too. But it's just, you know, we do it for fun, man. We don't get paid, you know. We've never made a dime off it. We've spent a lot of money on it, but we do it to have a good time and for the listeners that we have, and really just, honestly, it sounds selfish, but kind of for ourselves. So that's why we've been doing it for 8 years, you know, just having fun talking to each other and keeping it up.
We've all become close bros. We all have friends with each other's families at this point. Like we started a whole fantasy football league that has promotion and relegation now, and we become tight with all those people. Like it's just it's one of those things. It's just fun for us to do, even if we get more out of it just for the enjoyment of doing it than anything, I think, which is what it's all about. So that brings us to shout outs. So shout out to you guys for listening, and shout out to us for having fun. Amen, I don't know if you had any real shout outs.
See, I already covered the Shadur Sanders. Don't want to double dip on that.
Still falling. Legendary.
You got to shout out the academy, man. I mean, I never thought we would have seen this from our academy. This sort of production, this sort of results. It's great to see. It's fun to watch, and it's fun to see the potential of what could come up, especially because we have a guy like Alex Freeman on the first team right now who's showing massive growth. It's fun to picture the possibilities. And I mean, if we can get that going and get the budget up, it's, this culture that we've said that we've built for the last however many years since Oscar came in and these guys came in, it can take that next step. We have the foundation, but I believe it can take that next step. It's going to turn into this revolving door of signing, established players and selling guys who are breaking through. And that's going to be what we're looking for. And it's going to be tough to say goodbye to a lot of these guys that are going to come up through the academy, but it's going to be one of those things where, it's awesome to see, and it's awesome to follow their career elsewhere. And yeah, I'm pumped. I'm pumped about the academy. And that's, I think, a main reason why these contracts happened this week from the top down.
Definitely. And definitely something that's been unexpected, and realistically 100% you're spot on right with it. What I'd like to see from this is I'd like to see us kind of follow in the footsteps of like what FC Dallas has done. They've gotten a lot of players that they've had come through the academy and they've sold off. But what I would like to see is I'd like to see us be better about reinvesting what comes in the roster. So I'm hoping that we're able to do that. Because I feel like that's the biggest difference between the FC Dallas team that Muzi and Pareja built the academies and stuff at. They did a great job of building that. They've made a lot of good players who have contributed to the first team and then gone on to Europe. I don't think they've been great about bringing in other players to replace those when they go on. Let's be like an FC Dallas team, like a Philadelphia Union team that has a good academy. Only let's actually go ahead and still put money into our roster as well. So.
Cowboys just picked a guy from East Carolina that tore his ACL in September.
Yeah, I mean, he was at one point he was pretty much consensus first round. So
that's what they said about Shadur.
Yeah, you're right. They did say that about Shadur. All right, we're gonna stop piling up on him. My quick shout out. First off, it looks like the Magic actually picked up a win against the Celtics tonight.
Did they?
Yeah, I think so. Either that or Hard Rock Sportsbook is lying with their tweets. I should probably turn off notifications since I can't use them anymore, which is probably a good thing. So if that is true, shout out to the Magic. Extend that series against the Celtics. So I'd like to see the Celtics get out of here as a Knicks fan. But anyways, my shout out is actually going to be to Orlando City supporters. Not this next week, but the following week, we enter the Open Cup against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. It looks like they only gave us an allotment of 300 tickets. And for a midweek match across the state, y'all sold that crap out immediately. And apparently you requested more tickets and we were denied for it. So guys, if you want to go to that game, get tickets anywhere in the stadium, go for it. Just flood it with as much purple as possible. Because we're going to love to see that. So shout out all the Orlando City supporters that got tickets for a midweek game across the state against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. The Open Cup is something that it's there for the taking. I think we got to go out there and win the whole damn thing. So let's start it off with a bang out in St. Petersburg, because the Rowdies do not play in Tampa. Let's go get a dub.
Amen, man. I'd love to see that too. I'm glad you brought that up.
Absolutely.
Because it's awesome to see them get rejected for more tickets.
Hey man, I know I've already been talking with a couple of ILF guys, like I think Nick, because obviously a lot of our supporters want to come for the away game out in Colorado. I could never tell you exactly why that is. You can assume, but but we've been talking. A lot of them want to try and come out. I want to make sure that I get tickets with them for that game. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love that we got more supporters that are willing to travel now. I think that's the awesome part about the growth of the game in the States is that we see more stuff like that. I wish that it was more accessible for everybody to travel more often, but our country's so damn big that it's a little bit prohibitive sometimes. But still, regardless, you absolutely love to see it. So shout out to all the supporters doing the traveling. Shout out to all you guys for listening. Let's beat the ever-living piss out of Atlanta this weekend.
Amen, man.
I'll be
get back on track.
Yeah, exactly. Get back on track. Granted, this episode's going up late, so thank you guys for listening along live. I'm going to load this up into Spotify right now, so that way it's everywhere. I'll see you guys for Den After Dark tomorrow after the game, and hopefully we're talking about getting 3 effing points. All right? So vamos, Orlando. Y'all have a great night, and we'll see you guys next time in the Den.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Orlando Lions Den podcast. Don't forget to follow us at Orlando Lions Den on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. See you next week in the Den.